Inside Angola Prison, America's most feared plantation prison. They call it the farm. 18,000 acres, built on a former slave plantation. 75% of the men who enter will die here. This is Angola, and it's not supposed to exist in America. You're about to see inside the most feared maximum security prison in the United States. A place where the average sentence is 88 years, where men work the same fields their ancestors were enslaved on. But what you won't expect is what happens when hope is taken away completely. Because Angola doesn't just punish, it erases. By the end of this, you'll understand why one man, sentenced to life at 19, became the symbol of everything wrong with this system. But first, you need to see what Angola really is. Angola sits on 18,000 acres in rural Louisiana. It's surrounded on 3 sides by the Mississippi River. There's no fence on the water side. They don't need one. The river is filled with alligators and riptides. Guards on horseback patrol the fields like overseers. This isn't a metaphor. Angola was literally built on a slave plantation in the 1830s, purchased by the state in 1901. Inmates, almost all black men at the time, were leased out as free labor. Even now, inmates work the same cotton and soybean fields for pennies an hour. But fear doesn't come from the fields. Rule 1. You don't leave your tier without permission. Ever. Angola is divided into camps. Each camp has its own yard, its own hierarchy. Cross into the wrong camp, you're marked. Rule 2. Respect is currency. Weakness is death. In the late 80s and 90s, Angola was the most violent prison in America. Stabbings were daily. Gangs controlled every block. Guards didn't intervene. They couldn't. Rule 3. If you're a lifer, you have nothing to lose. 75% of Angola inmates will die inside. No parole. No second chances. They even have their own graveyard. Point Lookout Cemetery. If your family doesn't claim your body, you're buried here. But there's something most people don't know about Angola. Something the state doesn't advertise. It's not just a prison. It's a system designed to break you mentally before you ever die physically. This is Camp J, the disciplinary unit. Inmates here are locked down 23 hours a day, 1 hour for shower and yard time alone. Former inmates describe it as psychological torture. No windows, no contact. Some men spend years here. The UN calls prolonged solitary confinement inhumane. Angola calls it administrative segregation. But here's what makes Angola different. The warden in the 90s introduced something radical: religion. Warden Burl Kane believed moral rehabilitation could reduce violence. He opened a seminary inside the prison. Inmates could earn theology degrees, preach to other inmates, led services. Violence dropped. But critics said it was just another form of control. But this isn't a redemption story. Albert Woodfox was born in New Orleans in 1947. Poverty, broken home, no father. At 17, he was in and out of juvenile detention. By 25, he was in Angola. He arrived in 1971. Angola was chaos. Rapes, murders, guards turning a blind eye. Woodfox and 2 other inmates, Herman Wallace and Robert King, formed a chapter of the Black Panther Party inside Angola. They organized, protested conditions, demanded dignity. Prison officials saw them as a threat. Then, in 1972, a prison guard was killed, stabbed in his office. Woodfox and Wallace were accused. No physical evidence, no fingerprints, no murder weapon. The only witnesses were inmates who later recanted, saying they were bribed and threatened by guards. Woodfox was convicted by an all-white jury. His sentence, life in prison. But the real punishment hadn't even started. Albert Woodfox was sent to solitary confinement in 1972. He would stay there for 43 years. 43 years. Alone. In a 6-by-9-foot cell. The longest solitary confinement in American history. No trial was fair. His conviction was overturned 3 times. Each time, Louisiana re-indicted him. They didn't care about guilt or innocence. They cared about control. But what happened next would expose the truth about Angola and the entire American prison system. By the 2000s, Woodfox's case became international. Human rights groups called it torture. Amnesty International, the UN, even Nelson Mandela spoke out. In 2016, after more than 4 decades, Albert Woodfox was released. He was 69 years old. He'd entered Angola at 25. No compensation, no apology, just a plea deal. Woodfox described solitary as living in a tomb. He had panic attacks, claustrophobia, nightmares. He said the state wanted to break him, to make him admit to a crime he didn't commit. But he survived by routine, push-ups, reading, memorizing books, refusing to let them erase his mind. But Angola didn't change. Today, Angola holds over 6,000 men. Most are black. Most are lifers. Reforms have been made. Violence has dropped. The seminary still runs. But the same fields are still worked. The same sentences are still handed out. And Louisiana still has the highest incarceration rate in the world. Not just America, the world. So here's the truth most people don't see. Angola was never designed to rehabilitate. It was designed to disappear people. In the 1990s, Louisiana passed some of the harshest sentencing laws in the country. Habitual offender laws, mandatory minimums. Judges had no discretion. A third felony, even nonviolent, could mean life. Angola became a warehouse. Not for the most dangerous, for the most poor. 75% of Angola inmates are black. In a state that's 32% black. It's not a coincidence. It's a system. This is Point Lookout Cemetery. Over 2,000 men are buried here. Most graves are marked with just a number. No name. No date. These men had mothers, families, lives before this. But Angola erased them. Albert Woodfox wrote a book after his release. It's called Solitary. In it, he says the system didn't fail. It worked exactly as designed. To control, to punish, to remove people society didn't want to see. And Louisiana profits from it. Inmates make products, sell crafts, work the fields. The state calls it rehabilitation. Critics call it slavery with a different name. The question isn't whether Angola is brutal. It's whether we're okay with it. Here's what you need to know. Angola is still the largest maximum security prison in America. It's still surrounded by the Mississippi River. And men are still dying there, forgotten. But in 2021, something changed. Louisiana passed a law allowing parole for some lifers sentenced before 1973. For the first time in decades, a few men walked out. But thousands remain, waiting, aging, dying. This isn't just Angola. It's everywhere. The United States has the highest incarceration rate on the planet. 2.3 million people behind bars. Most will never be rehabilitated. Most will never leave. Angola is just the most visible example of a system built on punishment, not justice. So, the next time someone says crime deserves punishment, ask them this. Does it deserve erasure? Albert Woodfox died in 2022. He was 75. He spent more time in solitary than most people spend in marriage. If you want to understand the American prison system, don't look at the policy. Look at Angola. Because it's still here. And it's not going anywhere. If this opened your eyes, you need to see what happens inside ADX Supermax. The prison's so brutal, inmates beg to go back to death row. Click the next video. You won't believe what's hidden inside.